Oh my goodness. School bus. Yeah, you're getting all the good ones, man.
Tractor?
Here we are. Episode 35, Badass Records podcast.
Oh, we're on. All right.
We're rolling.
Okay.
It took a minute. We got Bryce motherfucking Gilman in the chair.
Woo!
And Swimmerson is kicking it with us today.
Yes.
2?
Two. He is 2.5. Yeah.
2.5. Okay. What's been going on?
Living life, man.
Yeah.
Wrapping up the summer. No more
Dude.
pool time. It's still beautiful out, though.
It is.
My Jayhawks are 4-0 in football. Game's on right now.
I
put my phone away so I wouldn't watch, though.
I went out of my comfort zone, which is like whatever shirt's next is the one I wear, and my Jayhawks shirt was on top, and I was like, I haven't worn one for any of these games. Like,
Right.
If
You don't
put
wanna
one on
jinx
today,
it.
it's a guaranteed L.
Because you are the determining factor of the outcome of the
Always.
game. Clearly.
The Chiefs know this too.
Yes.
I mean, they
They
send
write
me
you
memos.
letters.
It just looks like this. There's
Yeah.
no words.
They literally put their outline around their hand. And,
Told you not to sit there. You fucking, you're a regular
You
chair.
can't eat that kind of pizza on this day.
Oh my God. How are your folks?
Doing well.
Yeah. John, way out south.
Jog's still out south.
Does he still have the personalized plate?
That's never gone away.
No way.
And the
Wow.
best part about it, everyone in grade school was like, "Did your dad jog?" Is like, and as he had his Benson and Hedges out the window,
Yeah.
it's like, no, it's just his initials. That
Yeah.
wasn't anything to do
Yeah.
with jogging.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Is he still out south?
yeah,
And
151st.
okay, and I swore I saw an end of summer post on the gram alluding to the fact that your sister was a senior.
No, she's a freshman in college.
Okay, then maybe that was last year.
She's a
Or maybe it was in the spring and she graduated. I don't know.
maybe that's what it was. But yeah,
Either way,
she's
I was
in
like,
college now.
that was a baby.
I
Like,
have an 18-year-old sister. It doesn't even make any sense. Yeah, she's at Creighton now,
oh, that's
up in Nebraska.
maybe you told me that in March because I mentioned. Oh,
That was probably the final semester. Yeah, that makes sense.
wow.
Yep.
Such a trip. And Leanne,
Doing well. Her and Cy travel and just kind of do their own thing and just, they get to hang out and they wake up and they get to choose their day. It's kind of what everyone kind of strives to be.
yeah.
I imagine.
I mean, I got a partial chub.
I mean, it
just-
took a long time to get there, right?
Right,
And they all
yeah.
work their entire lives, but they're at that point
and
now.
he walked away from Ponzones when pandemic happened. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just kicking it.
Yeah.
How did John and Leanne meet though?
High school.
Really? Did they grow up here?
Argentine.
At KCK?
Yeah.
No way.
Uh-huh.
They got out.
They got it. They broke free.
They don't look KCK.
Thank you. My mom was into my father's hair, which I obviously had my father's hair. Not now, thank God.
He doesn't have.
Not much hair now.
Yeah,
But
okay.
in high school, that's what she thought he was all dreamy, and she's actually a little bit older than him.
What did it look like?
Just a lot of it, like Beatles, dirty
Okay.
haircut. Yeah.
All right. And so I was trying to remember, like the PV house is gone, right? Your
Yeah, she
mom's
sold that after I graduated college.
like, basically immediately.
Yeah, because I mean, she didn't live there when I was in college, but she just held on to it so I could come home to stay there,
Do some laundry,
do some laundry,
raid the fridge.
not come over and bother them, and
Yeah.
just
Oh, there's the real selling
Correct,
point.
yeah.
She's writing that check.
keep them out, keep Bryce away. And,
But he never lived there, did he? That was where she went
no.
after.
Right. They went. It was actually they lived in Lee Boulevard, and then they're out 135th now.
Wait, who lived on Lee Boulevard?
Cy.
Okay, no, but I mean, where did your folks live? Like, where was your brother born?
Oh, when I grew up,
Yeah.
So we were like on State Line and 100, or was it 95th Street? There was a little like a house on that corner, right by Rockhurst.
Okay, you guys have a penchant for living on busy streets, I guess.
Correct. I was there for 3 or 4 months, I think, and then we moved over near Curio Ars.
All four of you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then from there,
It was like my dad had like a million houses. Like, yeah.
Okay.
We bounced around quite a bit, but my mom was always the one from first grade at 75th Terrace or 78th Terrace,
Okay.
where you've spent many hours.
I spent a few.
Just a couple. I mean, that's
the weirdest thing. Like, there's so many weird like things like this, but it was kind of like driving. I mean, for your brother, like did he ever really drive us when we went out? No, and it would always
because he was a two-door, or why how did he get out of it?
I think he just liked his. It wasn't a Saab, was it?
No, he had that Rabbit. He had that black rabbit with the maroon interior because that was Leanne's beforehand, and he got that.
I think he just didn't want anybody to mess up his shit. I think that's why.
Or he just wanted to drink more beers than anyone else.
But either way, like it was almost always an option to gather at that place.
Yes,
to start.
Every single one of you would call the house too. To get it started as well. So the phone would ring off the hook for an hour and a half of like, were we meeting at Gilman's? Are we meeting at Gilman's? Are we meeting at Gilman's?
But he never wanted that to be the case. He would always kind of sort of cave, but then beyond...
Because Leanne wasn't there.
Right, but
this is on record here. We can't have Leanne watch this. But
she's not going to... Leanne... Earmuffs, Leanne. He just, he knew like we could probably get away with it, but he didn't want anything to go awry and cause any... stuff.
Well, because she knew something happened. Like, she could tell.
Right.
I mean, there was nobody had a clean track.
So we'd wind up there, and it would be a lot of him walking around, picking stuff, going, you guys, like...
I can totally see that, yes.
Which, I mean, just... and everybody was relatively aware of, like, you can't just be a slob and disregard and
Yeah, but those inhibitions kind of go away after a few beers.
Well, but I'm talking about to start.
I'm not going to name names.
No, I'm talking about to start, like, still daylight.
Right.
4, 5, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
But late was he was no, we can't go to my house. Nope. Sometimes it would happen.
Yes.
I mean, Jog showed up for one of them.
He showed up a couple times. There was a couple times where I was in the car with Jog when he showed up, and that was...
I think Jog showed up one time when we were all hanging out in your room upstairs.
Correct. Window wide open.
Hey, Dad.
Window wide open, my stereo at full blast.
Yeah.
Neighbors loved us.
But were they music people? Were they playing tunes in the house that you remember?
Yeah.
Or okay.
That's really, I think, what started me with listening to so much music. My parents had tons of music. My mom loved Doobie Brothers, and my dad loved Doobie Brothers and Steely Dan and Cliché. That whole the new genre of yacht rock.
Okay.
That is like what I grew up on, and I still listen to it. Seth and I joke about it because there's a station now on XM radio you can listen to yacht rock, and that was my childhood.
Yeah. It's been on. It's
been on for a while. Yeah.
No, but I mean, it's come up on our thread, the high school buddies.
Oh,
thread. Yeah. There's some people are just they'll die on that hill.
I love that.
And
station.
you, I feel like you drug my sister to a yacht rock deal at the Ship, maybe, or someplace.
Probably. I drag your sister around all sorts of places.
Yeah. Speaking of which, that's how we know. I mean, like, this is not. It's consecutive Saturdays with brothers of buddies of mine.
Oh, nice.
Had Adam Wilkie.
Okay.
A couple weeks ago.
Is he older or younger?
Dude, he's 10 years older. So like I met Nate in like 86-ish somewhere and was like hanging out for a while. And then ultimately like heard somebody say, and I was like, wait, what? You have a brother? Because he was already gone.
Right.
Like we're sixth graders and he's already in Lawrence.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, 10 years older.
Huh.
But yeah, your brother and I wound up at East in 93 and as it would turn out, we both have younger siblings.
That you both had to watch, more or less.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just keep a half an eye on.
Correct.
I
okay,
mean,
that's a fair analysis. Yeah.
Not like you're doing right now, but so Doobie Brothers Yacht Rock, and then like after they're now doing their own different lives,
right?
Still into music on either end. Okay.
Yeah. And then it really seemed like my buddies and I in high school listened to a ton of music, but I got influenced by a ton of different, but that's where I got introduced to like funk music, but just new rock and roll and obviously Beastie Boys and all that stuff that we listened to in high school. It just we were in such an amazing era of music when in high school. It was just we could listen to
Yeah.
stuff on nonstop and like really appreciate it. And music's so disposable now. Like you can just flip through so much music. It's just crazy.
It's endless.
Yeah.
Honestly, it feels like it's
Like
endless.
I had to have my binder of CDs to walk around with, and I like would listen to full albums, and you just don't really do that anymore.
So where is your place? Your current place?
I'm in Fairway.
Okay.
So I'm in near Indian Hills.
Okay. Oh, that's right. That's
Yep.
right. And what were you? Did you buy it and you knew it needed stuff and you would just have to get to it when you got to it, and that's what's happening now, or?
I knew it. I was immediately needing to do stuff to it right away.
Okay.
Big picture, I thought it was going to take much less time than it has. It's been going on for close to 3 years now. And
Damn. And what
very close to
are
being done.
you doing?
I mean, I basically rebuilt 90% of the house. So I doubled the size of the house and changed the driveway and but I kept the integrity of the original home. It's still like this cool Tudor home from the 60s, and it's a beautiful house.
Cool.
It's just right when I did it, COVID, and that slowed everything down, and then prices went up, and just everything that went wrong.
Materials and labor became hard.
There was a well in the backyard that we had to figure out how to put it on top. I mean, just what could go wrong went absolutely wrong.
So you've been doing this, I guess maybe you're not anymore, but for a minute you were doing this back and forth between your dad's and my sister's.
Yeah, because
right?
it was inhabitable. My house was inhabitable, but it is now. So I'm
and
in
then
there.
and there was a dog element to it too, right? I mean, like, could your dog
My
not
dog's
be
there.
at your dad's?
Right.
Because your dad has a dog, and they.
That's why your sister was lucky recipient of Tucker for a little while.
Oh my god!
But Tucker's back with me. He's
Oh,
10.
for real?
Yeah, I got Tucker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's in the house.
When all of that was going on, was there ever a time when the two of you and the two dogs and him were there, trying to share that space?
At the beginning, yes.
Okay.
Because the house was but then it started getting torn up, and I was trying to live there during, and it was just impossible because there was just too much construction.
I mean, I feel.
And there was no roof at a time. Like, you can't live in a house without a roof. And
there have been times, once or twice, when she's had people over. I'm like, it's uncomfortable. I can't even imagine like living here with somebody. But just all right there.
Yep.
So I don't imagine there's, but I could be wrong. Is there room on your plate for even the idea of dating, or are you doing any dating, or?
That's not a subject we're talking about today.
Oh, really? Too private.
Yeah, I'm not in that space right now.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
Yeah.
And your gig is what?
I sell a governance software.
What kind of software?
So like a governance or a cybersecurity software.
Okay.
So really techie stuff for Fortune 100 companies, just to keep a tab on where their data lives and how it's being transferred, and just
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's awesome stuff, but if big people don't know about it, like
yeah.
It took me a while to get my head wrapped around it, but it's an amazing space to be in.
And then one of the times we were trying to do this, you had been in New York. So does it require travel of you, or was that for pleasure?
Here and there. I went to speak to it was called the CISO Roundtable, so Chief Information Security Officer Roundtable, and it's just about the industry and speaking to people in the space and just understanding what business leaders are looking for and just their challenges and what I can help with, and just kind of have that open conversation.
Okay. Yeah. You've had this for a while, right?
This particular space, probably 3 years, close to 4 years.
This position.
Yeah.
And then, but
in this space. So the previous space was a completely different role. I mean, it was still software, but just not this industry.
Oh, that's where what I was thinking is that you had kind of been in the same industry for a good long time, but
there's
no?
relevance.
Okay.
But this one's a little more. This one's more broad, I should say.
So do you think of yourself as a nice fellow?
I have my moments, but I've been told I cannot be that way sometimes.
Okay.
Is that question for everybody, or is that direct? Is that was a special?
That's
one for
special
me?
for you.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
No, just because like I felt like I stepped into this bubble.
Okay.
Back on 78th Street or Terrace?
Terrace.
78th Terrace.
Yep.
Where it was like cool to hang
Uh-huh.
upstairs and rip some tubes and listen to some Floyd and play some Sonic.
Okay.
And it was over very quickly. And it was like, hang 1 second, and then like, I don't go get out. Like I don't. You guys aren't welcome.
That fluctuates. Yeah.
Okay.
Or I'm sure it did fluctuate in high school because my Seth got on my nerves.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's like all you guys got to get out. There wasn't like I didn't like say you could stay and then someone else can Blick gets to stay, or you.
Right.
Blick
No,
gets,
I know, but I mean, so for a second, it felt like, this is kind of like a warm, fuzzy kid brother kind of
My
thing.
CDs got messed up. That's probably what it was.
Like stolen or put in the wrong place.
Unorganized.
Okay. But
Like I came up one day and Seth had all my CDs all over the floor, out of the cases, and like making a mixtape, and it didn't. Sit
he's
well
not.
with me.
Is he a tidy guy?
He's an in between.
Okay. But I had that, right, and then the very like next feeling. So I guess I assumed that it was that way with the two of you as well.
Uh huh.
Like Bryce is just everybody's homie, like it's super chill.
Uh-huh.
But then I immediately like saw a significant level of sass going from you to him, and he,
I would say the other way around.
I think he wanted to wear the shot collar hat. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in charge. I'm older, and you were like, go fuck yourself.
These are
like,
my friends. Well, because it was like you guys would hang out with me,
yeah.
and that annoyed him. He's like, "Why are you giving Bryce the attention? Like you're
This
my
is-
friends. Like you want to be in his room." This is my thought.
Fact, like these are.
Well, these are my thoughts. Like I mean, that's a fact in my head. But
yeah.
Seth hasn't ever sat there and said, "Yes, I don't
Right.
like it that you're my friends."
Which is strange
hang out
because
with
he
you."
really likes to bear his deepest, most.
After 27 Milwaukee passes.
Isn't it?
yes.
Yeah. So, which it's totally different. But with Tiff and I,
Yeah.
like I think that there was a portion of my being that loathed her existence when it came to be.
Really?
But, yeah. Just like, I gotta this now forever. Gotta share it. I had it all, and then
At what age does that start?
I mean, like as
Immediately?
far back as I can remember.
Okay.
And maybe it was fine until things weren't fine between my folks. I'm not sure.
Right.
But she became the target. So anyway, like I very much wanted to rule and have her do it. And she did for a while, and then of course she discovers tattling. And then that would like fuel it even more. But I still would try. Who knows how efficiently I'm executing, but to iron fist it. And she, I would push her around quite a bit and say like, no, this is how it's going to go. And she kind of just rolled with that for the most part for a good long bit.
Okay.
So when I am all of a sudden under your mom's roof, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Little guy's talking back, fucking knock him around. Also, I want to hang out with him, but so don't knock around too hard.
Right.
But
I still want to use his Sega. I mean, like, hold on. Like, yeah.
but I feel, and I know we almost never we don't see one another that often,
Right.
but I feel like that exists today. Still, like
He and I are way closer than we were in high school.
That's
Like high school,
okay.
there was some tension between the two of us.
I meant,
But that's just-
you and I. Like if
Well,
if
yeah.
I see you out and I like, everybody's aware that this is my platform to dish out.
Yeah,
And it's
I dish it right back.
And I'm like, this is cut. It's not how this is supposed to go.
You listen and you take it,
Yes.
and then you sit there and cower in the corner.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
But more importantly, you guys are closer than you've ever been.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, that's like but I mean, high school is like, we're teenagers and we're dicks and
Fucking trying to figure shit out.
Yeah.
It's all awkward.
And then he went away to college,
Okay.
and I mean, it was kind of a funny moment, but like he was rough with me all growing up.
Okay.
And then he came back from college and we got into some little scuffle and I put him down for the first time, and it was like one of the most exhilarating feelings. Like, you finally take your big brother down. And that was the last time we ever had like hands on each other
Okay.
ever again. I was
Okay.
like, well, we have years of I need to make up for all these years of like punishment. And he's like, nope, we're done.
Oh,
and
oh.
now it's like he won't even no scuffling anymore.
You give him try and get him a little, get him warmed
No,
up.
we never punched.
No, I know,
It was
I'm
always
joking.
like but like enough to like
Yeah.
show who's.
Well, I
boss.
think that was probably also a piece of it for me was like just this. Not only does it suck to have a younger sibling,
Yeah.
but it's not a brother. Like, I
Right.
mean,
What do you do with a girl?
yeah,
Yeah.
And so then, like, this is the first time I'm seeing consistent, brother on brother, and it's
Violence.
like this is just being in
No,
the
I know.
presence of both.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, oh, this is how it goes. It's not all building tree houses and throwing footballs.
No. He wasn't right. He wasn't like pushing me on a bicycle or anything like that.
Right.
No.
Right. But take it one step further, and we can get into it in a sec. But being not only being the oldest and not having anybody above you influence wise, whether it's music or movies or girls or whatever.
Yep.
And it's just, so there's just a whole lot of things that are, I don't know what they are, but it's like I'm trying to put pegs in holes and make, you know what I'm saying? So starting this, when I've had people in the chair that are younger brothers to
Yep.
an older brother, it's kind of been a split. Like some have very clear and admitted influence in musical tastes, and some are like couldn't be more opposite.
Seth and I have some similarities, but like he didn't sit down with me and like you need to listen to this
Right.
album. Like there was never.
You got to
that.
listen to Sticky Fingers, man.
No,
Yeah,
I don't think he even knows what that album is.
he's a pretty big Stones fan, isn't he?
I mean, I'm sure he's got greatest hits on somewhere.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know. Like,
All right.
Yeah,
That's
that's for you, Seth.
So we were talking about just a second ago. I forget already the term that you used about how music is now.
Disposable.
Disposable.
Yeah.
So do you have one or two primary means of consuming it? Like what's
now
it?
I'm the same way everyone does it, right? Like I am on Amazon Music,
'Kay.
and I have it's called My Soundtrack, and it like you go through it, and I've been using it for years. But you like songs, and then it has this algorithm. You can set up different genres of stuff, but it's incredible. It does a great job.
How did you land on that one?
Because I had Alexa, and it was just an easy platform.
Sure.
I just fell into it.
So it's feeding you stuff that it thinks you like
Yeah.
based on previous.
It does an awesome job. Like there's random stuff I would have never have known about.
And is
without
this at home and in the car?
Yep.
And is this like most of the time? I mean, you will directly
it. It's either
Yeah.
Amazon Music or I listen to Howard Stern on Sirius.
right, but I mean, are there still times where you're like, you know what? I feel like listening to Sticky Fingers, and you go
Oh,
and
yeah.
put that on or
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it's wild.
Now you definitely get in moods of like I need to listen to this. I haven't had my record player for a few years, so I don't get to sit down and listen to my records. Like my records are in storage right now. Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, buddy.
There's a wine key and scissors over there are the only reasons why I would have any kind of. Yeah, it's a truck.
That'd be all right.
So you have vinyl.
I have a couple hundred records.
When did you start?
College?
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it was the cool thing to do.
And
There was Garden Record or Love Garden
course.
Records on Mass Street, and we'd go there.
yes.
And then there was
in Lawrence.
in Lawrence.
Walking Mass and going in.
Right.
That's always been a cool, but that wasn't
But
to now where it's like the big.
Now
thing.
there's like but they're all like new albums and stuff now. Like I used to go to, it was next door to Streetside Records in Westport. God, what was that place called? It was this enormous warehouse of just old records.
Yeah.
And they didn't even have it organized. There was just boxes and boxes. They couldn't keep inventory of anything, and you'd go in there and you could sit there and play records and listen to them. And they had a headphone little setup, and you could listen to stuff. They had the most random stuff ever, and they just had incredible stuff. And you could go there for a day, and stuff was reasonably priced. And there was like stuff from Tokyo that was like $200. Like was this stupid?
Wow.
Like, it was a special pressing. But it was just fun to go. I would go in there with buddies, and we would spend hours just
So
going through music. And
when all of the things that are happening with your home, when it's all said and
Yep.
done, and you're back in the saddle,
2 record players.
you have or you will have,
I do have.
and you'll
Build
set
up
both of them up.
Absolutely.
Why?
So there's enough rooms for it for one, but I usually like to have one in the bedroom.
Okay.
And then my stereo room. So I've got like
Your stereo room?
I've got a media room upstairs.
Okay.
That's like, all the 5-point speakers and all that stuff. I'm still a believer of tower speakers and all that stuff. And
check it out. The school See?
I love loud music.
Okay, so but what about
Subwoofers and sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean like you have two things in 2 rooms, but what about for the whole house? Like
Alexa speakers.
Like the little pucks?
Well, no, the bigger ones.
Okay. And do they just sit on a surface, or do you mount them somewhere, or?
So there's like little shows like that have a screen on them. Those sound incredible. There's a 5-inch screen or an 8-inch screen on them.
Okay.
Those sound incredible. And I have got a couple of those in the kitchen.
Okay.
There's like the tower ones. There's a bunch of them.
And
you can say play all rooms. You can play some rooms. You can do whatever. And like it's incredible.
So do you think that we have the days of having like a panel and speakers in the ceiling? Like, is that gone?
Sounds better.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's one source of music. I mean, that's only so good.
Yeah, I just think that is where I would, whenever I figure out all the more important things first.
Yeah.
That's where I'd like to, and have a thing where I could go like living room, family room, this bedroom.
Right. But the Amazon stuff makes it, it's so much cheaper to do it that way.
Is it?
Oh, God.
Okay.
Like running those panels and having all that stuff, that's expensive.
Well, I think it would be a big spend up front.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're probably fine unless you need maintenance.
But there's no maintenance on the Amazon stuff.
Right. But so when we first started talking about this, I don't think you hesitated much at all and hit me back pretty quick with At War with the Mystics, Flaming Lips, 2006. Am I remembering that correctly?
You absolutely are.
Okay. And
there's quite a few albums that I could say front to end. There's albums, but this specific one, like I have great memories with it.
Yeah.
Just the band in general.
I just so many layers of surprise. 1983. I was like, what? That's how long they've been around?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought you meant the album.
No, 06 for
yeah, right.
Mystics. But also I didn't know they were from Oklahoma City.
Yep.
And I had this window in college where I was doing a radio show, and it was every week, 3 hours, and I did it for 3 years. And there's, constant.
Where at? Oh, in Durango.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
and it was a sizable operation for a small town. And so, it was on all the labels lists to send shit to. So
nice.
So it was like, for that window, at least for stuff that I was in.
So that was 94?
I was at Fort Lewis 95 to 98.
Okay.
So I'm not like the whole scope of the music universe, just mostly stuff that I'm interested in. Like I would know about it before it was out. Right, because we were required to play a certain number of new tracks per. So, but then I step out of that, and then I'm just right back to being a normal dude again, where I'm not only ahead, but I'm not even current.
Yeah,
like because now I'm just listening to my own right. So then that I kind of carried that for a while, and what that looked like was if something new and cool came my way. It's almost like this sense of rejection because I'm finding out about it, 5th and 6th tier.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, I hear enough people in my circle talk about the Flaming Lips, and I'm like, well, can't be that cool,
Especially if Bryce is talking about it.
Well, yeah. I think...
So which album, though?
What?
Or was there any particular album that you've heard people talk about, or
no,
just them in general?
Just in general. It was the same with anybody that would come up. I was talking to somebody, Queens of the Stone Age.
Yep.
It was another example.
Yep.
Like, oh, there's all these people that like them. Like, well, they must not be that cool.
Right.
Like, because, but which is just blind and dumb, right?
Yeah.
So, and then there was at least one Wakarusa where there were, double headliners, and they were on one stage, and I'm pretty sure you were there.
At Wakarusa, 100%. Yeah.
And like the other one was like a real appealing headliner over on the other main stage, but it was somebody I knew and was familiar with, and so I was like, get out of the mud, and go. And then I just didn't enjoy it. Like, not that it was bad, but it felt kind of just blasé and not.
So I'm sorry, which show? The Flaming Lips did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we were way at the back, and it's Sunday night after a full weekend festival.
Yeah.
And just everybody just seemed to be super, super, super into it. So when it's at that high of a level, it's like, I don't get it.
Right.
And then he gets in the bubble and comes out in the crowd. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
The hamster bubble?
Yeah. Does he want to open that?
Feel better? Okay. See, it's not that cool. Stay in here. So you saw them. It was not that cool. They were in the, like, Wayne comes out in the bubble.
Yeah. So I now have, of course, all of the information that I need to make a certifiable.
These guys suck.
Or just
overrated. How about that?
Yeah. So, and like, I've just been walking around with that, not up here, just way back here somewhere.
But that's the one time you've seen them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But so when you throw this my way, I'm like, okay, now it's time to tuck in the napkin and get the fork and the knife out, and like immediately I was like, oh, this is really good. It's
a good album.
It's a really good album. And there's so many wild things about them. Let's break real quick. Anyway,
we back?
Yeah. So 83 Oklahoma City, didn't realize they were that close.
They went through a really kind of like a really acid vibe. Like, their old stuff is really dirty, like old Pink Floyd kind of weird trippy
for
stuff.
Sure.
Like,
for sure. So I mean, right out of the gate, the Yeah 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 song, catchy in both beat and title, Free Radicals, baller, and like this, like, you ever been like moving at a good speed but like on a sailboat,
right?
And it's just like you're just cruising. You're like, I don't even know exactly how this is happening, and they kind of hit that vibe where it's just cool.
Yeah.
I assume you're familiar with the origin story for how they have the name they have.
I'm not.
Okay,
enlighten me.
A gal with herpes receives cunnilingus and gives it to the performer.
Yeah.
And
to Wayne?
No, to the performer.
To the performer of the act.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he gets it, and so they both have flaming lips.
That's very okay. That's good.
And just tons of really cool tidbits, like Zyreka, this album project from 97, 98.
4 CDs.
And you
have to have 4 CDs.
And
you have to have 4 CD players, though, right? Like, who has 4 CD players?
Well,
I have that album because I bought it,
right.
But I'm like, I've never been able to do anything with it. But this is the most incredible thought, though, right?
It is. When you said
explain it to the audience.
Okay, so
the 10,000 people that are listening right now. So
I think we're only at like 8,500.
Okay, we'll get there. Okay,
or 8. It might just be just cut off all of the
whatever. Yeah.
So you have to have 4 CD players, and it's 4 discs, and you have to play them simultaneously to understand the album the way it was meant to be heard.
Well, he wanted to take stereo sound to a bigger phase, right? I mean, there was when stereo came out, it was 2 sounds coming out of 2 speakers, which you can do on one stereo, but he wanted to take it up to another level and have it on like basically 8 sounds coming out. And it's
but they were doing a lot of things to to fuck around with this.
Yep.
They had boombox experiments.
Yep.
And car stereo experiments where 4 cars parked and or 4 boom boxes in a parking lot set or whatever it is.
Yep.
Just fucking around with that kind of stuff. And a bunch of other fascinating tidbits too. But Sound of Failure got a cool riff in the chorus. My Cosmic Autumn Rebellion, funny mix of ballad with kind of cool grungy kind of tone that is really kind of perfect in this weird, bizarre marriage of opposing harmonies. And yeah, I mean, very consistent sprinkles of an obvious Floyd influence, and also, like, I don't know where, but there's some LSD that's been sprinkled in along the way too, which for me works. That's a good.
Any band that has that background, I mean, like that's great.
So somebody else had a couple people have picked Lips records.
Really?
Yeah. But one of them,
Yoshimi, I imagine.
That your boy Spencer.
Spencer, which one?
Valentine.
He picked that?
He's flaked 3 times. But he gave me a sizable list, and that's on there.
So he didn't narrow it down to that one, but it is part of.
Okay. No, he gave me a list of records, of different artists.
Yeah.
Like these are my favorites.
Right.
And Flaming Lips, Yoshimi Battles of Pink Robots is one of them.
Yeah. It's a fun album, right? But it's like you don't take it serious. I mean, it's not supposed to be taken seriously, but it's just not like it's not a substantial album with with At War with the Mystics. There's like political, but there's also like,
that.
There's like crazy amount of just really deep, thoughtful lyrics to it.
And then Dan Gedman might have had a Lips record too.
Right.
But we definitely
Did you ask for a list?
Well, it started off as your all-time favorite, but way back when.
Yeah.
And then, some people are like, I can't get it under 5. Or so people have done 1, people have done 2, people have done 16.
See, I wouldn't want to do more than 1 because I would be here for 2 days.
The big list ones run 4+ hours.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot.
Okay.
But Gedman and I talked a little bit about the Lips, and Soft Bulletin from '99 came up.
Yep.
And I think there's I tried to draw some similarities when we were talking about it, but there's a book called The Soft Machine by William S. Burroughs.
Yep.
And he was doing just bananas shit, like taking like 2 magazines, and he would take words from a line here and take words from a line here and make a sentence.
Okay.
And somehow cobble stories together.
Yeah.
But Soft Machine has like double agents and body jumping, and I'm pretty sure like that sodomy has to perform for the body jumping to happen. Like all kinds of wild, kind of ahead of Matrix and that kind of thing, ahead of its time. But I've gathered that Soft Bulletin has that sort of feel too, like kind of.
And that was probably one of their first like ones that made them more popular. I mean, they've never been like a crazy successful band, but they've always had some. I mean, they've all started with "She Don't Use Jelly."
Yes,
that was their MTV exposure.
Yeah,
Wayne, the lead singer, has always been chasing this. He wants to be a celebrity. He's been that way the whole time. He got his MTV exposure, and I saw Flaming Lips for the very first time, kind of going back when you were talking about when you saw them. First time I saw them was at Lollapalooza, Sandstone. It was like 93, I think. And they played that song, and they played some other songs, and it was fine, right? I mean, Beastie Boys played, and they just completely stole the show. Sadly enough, Smashing Pumpkins had to go up behind Beastie Boys, and Smashing Pumpkins were a dud because you just couldn't follow the Beastie Boys performance. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So I saw them really long time ago. Second time I saw them, I was a freshman in college, and they were opening for Beck.
Oh wow!
And I'm like, I remember them. Like they haven't really done much, but whatever. It'll be fun. I want to see Beck. It was at the Lead Center in Lawrence, which is on campus. This really small auditorium. They opened for Beck, and like it was the craziest show I've ever seen in my life. Like they had these flashlights, and they had people running up and down the aisles in bunny costumes, and they just tore it up. It was like one of the most amazing things. Like this band is incredible. Like that was my exposure to like really like them and want to know more about them and look into them and stuff. And then Beck came out, played an acoustic set. And then Beck came back, and then Flaming Lips backed them electronically, and just like it was incredible.
They shared the stage.
Yeah,
oh man,
it was like one of the most amazing shows I've ever seen.
I feel like continuing to have just a very surface familiarity with Beck's discography and not doing a deep dive is an ongoing disservice to myself.
Yeah, Beck's music. Absolutely. He personally has kind of gone off in this whole weird tangent, like the Scientology.
Oh, he has?
So
I didn't know that.
I still appreciate him as an artist, but like, I find myself, I don't want to say judging, but I just have this different vibe towards him. Like I get deep into Beck now. It's like,
Yeah. But you bring up Wayne around that experimental 98, 99 soft bulletin stuff.
Yep.
Quote from him, if somewhere, and this maybe resonates with your wannabe celebrity, if someone were to ask me what instrument I played, I would say the recording studio. Which just kind of like he's everywhere and got his hands
and on stage he does the same thing. He's all over the place, and like he has these wild guitars with all these like weird strings and buttons and all sorts of stuff on it. He does his own thing, but the real musician in that band is Stephen Droid. Like that dude is.
How do you spell his last name?
Droizd.
Okay. And what does he play?
He plays guitar, but he writes all the music.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Wayne's a total frontman? That can also...
He composes... He lyrically writes everything.
Okay.
But Steven writes the music. And, I mean, even, like, the drummer, for example, he's not... His guy's name is Cliff. Like, he was actually out of Lawrence, oddly enough.
Huh.
Played with them for years. He got kicked out of the band because he talked poorly about Wayne for some stuff.
Uh-oh.
But Steven writes all this crazy music. He's the real reason why that band is as good as they are.
Yeah.
But he had very long stints with heroin and crazy stuff where they went and had downtime and didn't do stuff together. But he's clean now. I think that's I heard it. I guess he is.
Steven or Wayne?
Steven.
Okay. I think they also get credit for this notion of a headphone concert. Are you familiar with this? So
the silent disco, basically.
Yes.
Silent, not disco, but silent rave.
I think you're right.
Okay.
Either way, you get the idea. But so everybody's like, you know.
I saw one at Crown Center this summer, actually. Oddly enough, at Boulevardia, they had under the skating rink, the ice rink thing. They had a silent disco.
So it was set up. It was meant to be. It was
really weird.
Did you go in?
No, I had him.
Oh,
I looked at the side for 5 minutes in like awe of like just watching people like
during the day,
broad daylight.
And were they sober? You think? Who knows? Okay.
It was a beer festival, so
right. Well, I meant in other ways.
Right, yeah. I wasn't asking.
Yoshimi in 2002 has been called
a fun album.
The first critical and commercial success after nearly 20 years as a band.
Probably.
Which I mean, if nothing else, kudos to them for fucking sticking it out.
Right.
Like how many people would just smash the guitar and say fuck this,
break up,
and,
go to different bands.
I'm gonna go do my own thing because you motherfuckers,
you're the reason
you're
why
dragging me down.
Exactly.
So you do have a pretty good familiarity with their older stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Like there's like the older albums. Like there's this one song called "This Here Giraffe." There's like nothing to it at all, but it's like one of the most fun songs. Like it's super old.
Nice.
I have it on vinyl, and they do these single pressings of just singles of the most random vinyl, and there's like this giraffe pressed into the vinyl. It's like
it totally
like artwork stuff they have is just incredible.
Yeah.
Like I have like these random posters. I've got concert posters signed by all of them. It's this beautiful stuff that
this is their 11th of 16 records, which
the last couple of Yeah, there was one with Miley Cyrus.
I saw that and made a note of it, and a Floyd cover album.
Yeah, Dark Side.
Dark Side. Yeah, they
I saw them perform that entirely thing live.
Okay.
I prefer, there's other versions.
But can you go see somebody do that, and it's never going to be high energy.
Right.
Dark Side is a thing to like experience sort of on your own or with some friends under the influence of whatever your choice,
Right.
And you get introspective. You don't go to a show to rock out to Dark Side.
But that's Wayne chasing being a celebrity.
Gotcha.
He wants the exposure, and he's trying to do what he needs to do, i.e., let's do an album with Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
Like,
I really liked how My Cosmic Autumn Rebellion just kind of bleeds right into Vein of Stars.
Yeah. Vein of Stars is beautiful.
It is very beautiful. Yeah. 2 Grammys for this record.
I didn't know that.
Best.
Do they have Grammys from other albums?
I didn't look.
Okay.
But Best Rock Instrumental Performance and Best Engineered Album Non-Classical.
See?
I mean, and I'm sure Wayne's like, I see, I play the recording
studio. That better be on Droid's shelf.
Good track sequence from Rebellion into Veins that continues on with The Wizard Turns On.
Yep.
And it's strange how much energy I'm only giving like the initial part of a lot of these titles, because there's a lot of ellipses and a lot of like secondary and tertiary phrases.
Wayne.
Yeah. Revisited that Zyreka concept with a 2011 track called Two Blobs Fucking, which lives on YouTube as 12 separate pieces that must be played simultaneously to be heard as intended. Which
I love how Wayne just imagines these people have these time, like time and like technology to do this kind of stuff. But
did you ever try the Wizard of Oz Dark Side thing?
No,
me either. That's every time I read like this simultaneous thing. I'm like, he's trying to do. Anyway,
right. No. But you didn't bring up Pompeii. Like Pompeii is.
I'm not done. I'm not done. But also in 2011,
different areas, so it didn't.
Well, it's so I'm listening to the record and taking notes about the album and the band.
Got it.
And it's all jumbled. But also in 2011, they were releasing a new song every month, which included a couple of tracks that I love the names of. One of which is "I Want to Get High, but I Don't Want Brain Damage," and the other track is "Working at NASA on Acid."
Like these two, those work together so well.
There was a gummy skull, with a flash drive in it that contained a 6-hour-long song called "I Found a Star on the Ground."
Because they do Record Store every year, and they come out with the most random, like crazy stuff.
I mean, that's
Yoshimi is. I think it's his 20th anniversary this year.
Yeah.
And they have it's an 8-album album, like vinyl album box set they're bringing out.
8?
Yeah.
Damn.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus.
That one was like, come on, dude. But
in the 7 hole is the second longest track on the record. It Overtakes Me, the number track 7.
Yeah.
It Overtakes Me, which for my money is pretty annoying for about 3 minutes, and then it becomes beautiful. And it's kind of a trip. It's
kind of poppy and yeah. It's just like it doesn't really fit in the album, but it's like you can listen to it.
It really. So, for many years, it was really hard for me to I couldn't see the value in the tension and release that would happen a lot with Fish. And you got to just trudge through this I don't even atonal clunky and it's all intentional, of course. And then at the other end of it is like this beautiful and I think a lot of people hear 15 seconds of whatever that is and they're like, nope, I'm out. And if it's like, if you stick around, the reward is maybe worth.
Fish is a perfect example for that.
And I didn't want to stay with that song. Because for 3 minutes he's just repeating that phrase over and over again, and I'm just like
poppy and fast and
And then I was like, oh god, that was worth it. It really, because it is the tail end of it is very, the second half of it is very beautiful. But such a trip to have the intention to, we're going to marry these two things.
So how are you listening to it?
Just like you see me right now.
On headphones?
Yeah.
Okay,
100%. Yeah. Uh, I can't. I mean, there's So I have a Sonos in the kitchen,
Yep.
and then I pretty much just roll around with shit on shuffle.
Yep.
In my car. And I'll be making a meal. So I'm making some noise. I've got the vent on. I've got water running. There's
Sure.
music playing, but there'll be moments where the noise from all of those things suddenly ceases, and I hear like a little piece of a song that I've heard 56 times before.
Sure.
And I've never picked up on it. That
Yeah.
little, oh, well, that was a cool little
Right.
thing and so if I'm gonna sit and talk about your record, like I have to. Like the most,
You get everything out of it.
the
The
most-
Flaming Lips are made to listen
Yeah.
on headphones.
Yeah.
Like, it's like so many subtleties. Like, yeah.
Mr. Ambulance Driver, really
Fun.
smooth and sensual, but
Yeah.
that siren sound is like it's like haunting in the way that like a really really sad scene from a movie like can just
It's
kind
been
of
on soundtracks. That song's been in a bunch of
Oh,
movies.
for real?
I think it was made. I mean, you can't. I don't know if you can intentionally like this is going to be on a movie. But
right.
it has been though. No, because that's back to Wayne chasing to be a star. Like that's
Yeah.
like writing stuff for that.
God damn it, I screwed that up.
We run out of.
So Pompeii
Pompeii.
AM or Am
Yeah.
Gotterdammerung. What in the heck?
I don't know the name is like doesn't make any sense to the song, but that song is my favorite on the.
Well-
No, I take that back. Second favorite.
I see Pompeii. I immediately think Floyd before the track starts, and then the track starts, and I was like, was that intentional?
Right.
Because this feels very Floyd.
Right.
Which
No, there's like from the day one. I mean, from their old albums. There's definitely Pink Floyd influence there.
yeah. So you mentioned this. Supposedly, this record is more political than Yoshimi and Soft Bulletin. I mean,
If you listen to it, it even talks about Trump, and this is before Trump is even like before he was even president. He was like brought up though.
way before he was even a lot of things. I mean,
No, we're fine.
so
But it's about politics, and then also like using people. I can't remember the name of the song, but it's all about like would you like expose other people for your greater benefit?
they're saying that about him.
No, just in general. Like,
Right, but
yeah,
is that-
but
that's
about
not-
him too.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's in 2006.
Right.
I mean,
Before he had all that publicity, yeah.
did he even have like reality show publicity in 2006? I guess he probably did, like the You're Fired
had to
shit.
have.
Yeah, weirdo. I didn't have a whole lot to say about Haven't Got a Clue or The Wand, WAND.
The Wand has the greatest guitar riff on that whole entire.
Does it?
Listen to it again.
I mean,
it is. Listen to it loud.
okay.
And it is.
What's
like,
great about it?
it rocks.
Okay.
I mean, dude, it just like can like get you pumped. Like
Yeah.
it is. You can see popularity scores on songs. Like not that I determine like what I'm gonna listen to, but on any streaming service it shows like popularity and stuff. Wand is the #1 song on that. Wand
real?
is incredible.
Okay.
That's my favorite song on the album. Like,
Okay.
but I was gonna say Pompeii, but they're like, wait a second, no, Wand is.
Well, I didn't dislike it, but I felt like and they're
'Cause
together.
that's the last. Is
It's
Wand.
no-
Wand's second to last.
Haven't Got a Clue, and then The Wand. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and like it was kind of like after so much.
Yeah,
Like
it's a lot of album to get through.
it is,
Yeah.
but and a lot of it was very rewarding, and I didn't find much in the way in that.
And I appreciate the fact that you hadn't had much exposure to it, not any before.
Yeah, and going on also, but they're great keys and drums, nice little message.
Yep.
But I mean, I guess for me, it was a little bit redeeming after 2 tracks that didn't really speak to me.
Go back and listen to the Wand.
Okay. So yeah, man, like I said, sometimes I get a list, and it's like I can't do complete full listens of 20 records.
Yeah, that would take forever.
And sometimes
with notes and yeah.
And sometimes I get records that I'm very familiar with.
Yep.
So maybe I just do a quick brush up on some lesser listened to tracks.
Yep.
But if somebody gives me one album, like I can definitely
Sure.
get through that
Yeah, 50 minutes.
at least once.
Yeah.
And I again with that mindset that I talked about of them before I listened to them. Really, I figured that I'd probably be kind of skipping in and out, and but full thing.
I want to make sure I use an album that you could listen front to back.
Yeah, and it's how did these guys land in your lap initially?
So like I said, it was from Lollapalooza when I was in high school, and then I saw them with Beck.
Just
and like
randomly seeing,
totally
and you're like,
randomly.
I'm gonna dig in
and
here.
Not many of my friends are into it. I would have to.
Right.
I wouldn't necessarily drag friends, but it wasn't like I had a collective group of friends that would go. It'd be I could get one buddy to go.
Yeah.
And we would go.
Yeah.
I've got other bands that I can get buddies to go with. I mean, Wilco, for example, I could get
Sure.
buddies to go with, like, no matter a group of them.
Yeah.
But this band, like, it never really caught them. But I love them. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen them 35 times probably.
Seriously?
Random
Have
festivals.
you flown?
I've driven.
Okay.
I don't know if flown. Well, I guess technically I have flown because I saw them in Denver for this punk rock show. It was like the Descendants.
Oh my.
And the Cure.
Wow.
And Flaming Lips were there. It was a really incredible.
Who'd you go with?
Colorado buddies, like Scott Shoemaking, much buddies out there.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's kind of recently then, right?
5 years ago.
Yeah.
8 years ago. Yeah.
And was the whole show fun?
Yeah.
Nice.
Incredible. I had to drag one of my buddies to the Flaming Lips, though. I think I dragged Shoemaker over. He's like, "Oh, go see." No.
Right.
I want to see Yoshimi, like whatever. Like,
that was a pretty good Shoemaker face.
He saw it and he's like, "That was a damn good show.
Nice.
Thank you. Like,
Nice.
you're welcome."
Nice. So, for somebody that has a relatively full plate, what's your what is define fun for you today?
So it's like the fun was in the summer was pool. Like I was at the pool constantly.
Do you belong to a place?
Homestead.
Okay.
So it's a couple blocks away from my house. I can ride my bike there, or it's a quick drive right over there.
Yeah.
This morning, fun for Emerson and I was going to watch a CrossFit competition, and then we rode bikes to go get lunch at Overland Park at Farmers Market.
Okay.
I mean, that's just tearing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys are 24/7, right?
Yeah.
There's no drop off. No, I mean, is jog in the mix at all?
Well, no, my parents absolutely help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I actually have him in a daycare on Thursdays, so he's at Village Church.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, across the street from Prairie.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like 5 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, when what does them helping look like? Do they keep him for a handful of hours? They keep him overnight?
Yeah. There's a couple times overnight.
Okay.
But he and I are just inseparable. Like,
Yeah.
We're just so used to be with one another.
Yeah.
Like, just like this is what it is.
If you could bottle or distill the essence of life, how would you describe what's in there?
Phew. I mean, you can't have it just because it varies. I mean, it changes on a flip of a dime. My life 4 years ago is dramatically different than what it is today. Not saying better or worse. I mean, if anything, I think it's better.
Are there still grape bombs in it? I think there's still grape bombs in it.
Well, they're more fancy, but I use a finer vodka. But,
Okay.
But correct. Yes.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, like I've got a great career. I've got my son. Like I've got stuff still working out with the house and like trying to like navigate certain things. But all in all, it's good. It's just like you got to weather the storm and just hunker down and just like go through it.
Yeah.
Like it's just like you can't give up.
Right.
I mean, you can't dwell on stuff. Like you just have to figure out. And it's right. It's hard not.
You can.
Well, you do no matter what.
Yeah.
But you have to try to find like, okay, so I'm going to dwell in this, but you also have to wake up and figure out that like how I'm going to get out of this.
Yeah.
Like what steps am I going to do, and like what do I need to do to ensure that's going to happen?
So I mean, but when you look at this thing that you've somehow magically been able to distill, is there meaning in there? Is there an answer? Or
I think it's just like passing on like raising my son, I think, is really what it boils down to. It's like ensuring that he knows he's taken care of, but it's also about how to live your life and to treat others, and just you want to pass on to him to have the greatest tools in place to be a good person. But to answer your, I don't have an answer for like, what's a good answer for that? What's in your bottle?
Well,
that's a tough one.
I think it's a three-headed deal, and
So 3 bottles?
What? No, it's like one of those sand things where you pour the one layer and then the other layer stacks.
Put the toothpick down. And
yeah. So, and it's different for everybody, right? Like it's not the same for people that don't have kids.
Yep.
100%.
But my answer 4 years ago would have been like yeah.
I got a lady coming over in a half hour. Ask me tomorrow. I'll tell you. No. But there's this thing of wanting to, it's sort of like, a double mesh fine strainer, and like a lot of shit falls through, and you keep the things that you were intending to keep, and some of that other some of you didn't mean to have fall through, but it fell through anyway. And so you wind up with like this little bit of love and this little bit of knowledge, and this little bit of experience, and it's this awkward torch handoff between you and your kids,
right?
And hopefully
the right grains are in there.
Hopefully they take it and they do a little bit better than you did. Right. And so that's one piece. The other piece, also different for everybody, but I mean, I was telling Adam, his and Nate's parents, arguably the coolest I've ever met and will ever know. And so, but shitty challenge for them, because you got to be cooler than them.
Yeah.
Like, if your parents were dorks or losers or whatever, like, you just...
the bar's pretty low.
Yeah, you just step out of the womb, you're like, oh, I already won? Cool.
I got it, okay.
And so that's the second piece. And the third, I think, really is kind of just realizing that there are pockets, like maybe it's 2, maybe it's 6, maybe it's 20, that are your actual, real, true sources of joy. And like, how can you maneuver and flex your life so that you get to be in those pockets from time to time,
or for longer stints than you're not.
But also when you, regardless of how long you're in them, when you're in them, to be present and to realize, cliche as it sounds, but there's a lot of people out there that have it a lot shittier. I know it's so cheesy, but I think it's so easy for us to go, fuck,
why me
about this thing, whatever the thing is, and it's like, do you have clean water? Do you have good relationships in your life? Do you have things that stimulate you?
Eating off a clean plate.
So I think that's what it is. It's kind of just juggling those 3 things, and everything else doesn't fucking matter. Right. I mean,
the older you get, the more I realize the less stuff that you give a shit about.
Right. So, I mean, do you think that you walk around and operate within a pretty high level of happiness? Or is it in flux?
It's in flux.
Okay.
Just dealing with a few things. I will never remodel a home ever again.
For real? You think you're going to stay in that one?
I'm just saying, if I move, if I sell it,
ready.
It is like turnkey. Like I'm not doing anything. That's been hard. I'm not unhappy, and I know, like, I'm just going through a lot of transitions, and it's not a bad thing, but I have good moments, but there's tough moments, man.
Yeah. So, when our parents were raising us, probably unbeknownst to them, because it's just kind of how it goes.
Right.
You see these bullet points, right? Like, finish high school, go to college, get a job, get married, buy a house, have some kids.
Yep.
And that's supposedly those are all the stepping stones to happiness or making it or the dream or
Sure.
whatever. And we're, obviously with a lot of different things, but I mean, I think right now, a very common conversation in our culture is college. And do we need to go and indebt ourselves? And is the education, does that translate into the marks? But that's just one example,
Right.
But one, I think that whether there's intent behind it or not, the marriage piece or the partnering piece, does getting to wherever it is you want to get on the happiness scale, can you do it alone, or is partnering with somebody required?
I don't think. I mean, that's part of. I wouldn't say a problem, but that's kind of where I've always been. That I don't feel as though it's always needing to have somebody by my side to do that, which is not saying I don't want somebody by my side, but I've also known that I can do fine.
But I feel like you, and again, I know we don't see each other that often, but I feel like you have typically been a person that has a person more often than you're not.
Correct.
Okay. So.
But yeah, no, that's fair. But that may be part of the problem why, where I'm at is that I'm like, I can still be fine on my own.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I'm
you?
not super dependent on. Yeah.
Okay.
I absolutely.
Okay.
I've always been incredibly self-efficient, like since even like a little kid.
Right.
My mom would be like, "Oh, where's Bryce?" Then was just like doing my own thing, like completely fine. I was off in the corner, like taking a radio apart and just like whatever.
Right.
I could entertain myself.
I mean, it is a really fascinating concept to me because you think of the same chunk of earth, like this really landscape-esque, gorgeous piece of nature where there's, fall colors in the trees, and there's a mountain, and there's an amazing sunset, and you have a fire, maybe your son and your dog, and you have great food, and it's just like the absolute shit, and it's totally legit.
Right.
And like, can that be the best that it can be when you could look at the same exact scenario, same person, or maybe a different person or a different version of yourself, and you go, God, if only I had somebody to share this with.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But I have those moments now, like, right? And it's like, I have them with him and my dog, that exact scenario that you have. And it's like,
you have, in both scenarios?
No, I'm saying with him, with my son and the dog, like with just the three of us.
Yeah.
And like I feel fulfilled a lot of the time with just that.
Yeah.
And it's just the amount of things that I have to accomplish in a day, just with work-wise and him and stuff like that. It's like the bandwidth to like take on more.
I think that's the root of all this for me is like, he's just being a goofball.
Yeah.
So there's like so much, right?
Yeah.
Like literally not enough hours in the day.
Right.
But we do it.
And something else bringing more problems or complications into the situation is like, I mean, I've got enough on my plate to deal with it. It's like, what are you doing, Lucky?
Well, so yes, and so here's this other person, and they have whatever's on their plate,
right?
And when
are they going to take things off my plate, or are they going to put things on my plate? It's
I think there's just going to be rearranging.
If they rearrange it, fine.
You don't get to know
if they can take on and off. It's push pull. Sign me up.
Okay.
If it's all push, then that's a different situation.
But where I'm going with this is like, I feel like you can have like, here's this person. And like when we do bring our lives together and we go do a thing or we spend a week or whatever it is, it's all like really, really good. And then we go back to our lives. Mm-hmm. But there's this, force or this pressure to say, no, like mash them all together into one full-time life. Don't keep it this way. It's, and I'm not just talking about marriage. I'm talking about like, cohabitation and taking.
But that is a step towards marriage.
But
right.
So what is it that is so? Are we just is what we've seen generation after generation that it's not okay to just leave the two things here? And when we do our thing together, it's amazing. But then we go back to, I don't know.
You
man.
just, I mean, it's you want both the best worlds, right? Like you want to have like I want to go home and like, or I want to eat what I want to eat, for example.
Yeah.
Right. There's no like, oh, what do you want to do for dinner tonight?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm going to do this. Well, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. Or like, I just.
Yeah.
It just. Yeah. It's hard to have that mix of at the day to day of. To be, I mean, you don't want to sound self-centered, right? Like you want to be able to like live your day and come home and be able to like watch whatever show you want to watch. I want to eat this particular pizza. I don't want green peppers on it.
Yeah.
Like stupid crap like that. It's just, I don't know. It's the push-pull thing though, right? It's like you get what you give, and it's finding that balance with somebody is what is most important. And when you start feeling that you are being taken advantage of, and that's when it starts like to go south.
You know Jessica's friend Taylor?
Yeah. Yeah.
Her dad has been like, my plumber for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years.
Sure.
And he's got a million places to be, and probably wishes that I would shut up and not follow him around when he's here, because I chat the whole time.
Okay.
And it's like,
how many plumbing problems do you have?
Dude.
Too many?
Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully the bulk of them are behind.
This is
me.
not a rip on her dad, but like,
no,
I
it's
mean,
all, everything here is all. He's at one point.
It's all new stuff that he's fixing.
It's all original.
Well, I'm
stuff.
sorry. I mean, it's all.
He's not coming back to fix the same thing
A
over.
new project. Yeah.
And at one point he was fixing something, and he was like, "Dude, I mean, I'll keep putting Band-Aids on this shit if you want, but at some point you got to think about like replacing all the plumbing in this house." And I was like, "You're out of your fuck. There's so many things that I need and want for this house, and that is not."
And you can't just change the pipes, right? You have to like dig in and like you have to go through walls, and you have to do like a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's not like just boop, boop, boop. It's nope, rip a hole in this wall, and they put this tub in with no access, so.
No, I'm fully, because I've been going through this for 3 years. Like, those dumbasses did it this way, and like, it's going to cost you another. Yeah.
So he has a girlfriend.
Okay.
And he spends like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday with her.
Like a split custody kind of situation?
I mean, and then they go back to their own lives.
Okay.
And so
I mean, that's not.
I learned this like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
And then every time he's been over, I'm like, he's like, yeah. We still do, and I'm like, she's not like pushing for you guys to like merge.
What age are they?
Older.
Yeah.
Like, but it seems like
they don't have kids together.
No.
Right.
But it seems like
But they have kids. Taylor, but does she have children as well?
If she does, they're also
out of the
grown
house.
and gone. Yeah. But it's just I don't know. I've never even met her, but it seems to work for them. And he seems to really enjoy her, and I think she really enjoys him. And but they just kind of split the week in half. And
half time you have somebody in your bed, half time you don't.
Yeah.
Like, right.
Yeah. Sharing meals. You know.
It's kind of like, wasn't it like, was it June Cleaver and like they would push the bed together every once in a while, or was that maybe even the Brady Bunch?
I don't know.
Kind of half the week they put it together.
I was sweeping the other day, and I was like,
good transition.
How in the fuck did everybody in the world just buy into that 30-second jingle that is the Brady Bunch song? It's a story of a man named Brady.
Is it so catchy?
Well, no, what I'm saying is, so dude has...
Oh, you could just blend the families together?
Dude has these 3 sons. Old girl has these 3 daughters, and they're just like... And not one peep or hair nor hide is ever heard about either of the exes.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to those 2 motherfuckers?
Right?
And, like, how come you never see them they just full custody, and they're both out of... Did you guys have both of those people killed?
Right.
You know? And everybody's just like, it's the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Like, no, wait, what?
Like, Marsha's calling Greg, or not Greg, but what was the dad's name?
Mike.
Mike. All of a sudden, that's
dad.
Dad.
Yeah, and she rolled in at like 16 or however old she was, and
she
just
didn't get any tattoos or anything. Like, I mean,
but I was just like, how did we just gloss over this for like 50 years?
Great,
So how do we fix or attempt to minimize a lot of the toxicity that we see in the world today? How do we fix that?
Wow. That is okay. That's a deep question. So, I think first and foremost is like it's such a cliche thing to say, but just like treat others the way you want to be treated.
Be a good neighbor.
People take advantage of each other like constantly. It's just crazy, and the narcissism behind it is like just it's wild.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how people can go out of their way to be an asshole to nobody, or I mean not nobody, but just like to a server, for example, or somebody at Chipotle. You're like they got something wrong and they just blow their lid.
Yeah,
they're blowing their lid at something because they happened at home or at work, but they take it out on other people. Like that kind of stuff is just, and then it snowballs.
Yeah.
People are dicks and like, well, this person's a dick, and like, oh, I guess that's how it is. And then the kids see their dad being a dick to somebody, and
yeah,
like, well, I guess I get to treat this person like this. And
it's really hard to like look at, you know, I don't have any agenda here. I'm not trying to pin any one thing or multiple things on one thing.
Go ahead.
But it seems like the significant rise of social media to the place
the
that
platform for everyone to give their opinion,
and then the election of Trump,
right,
in 2016. It feels like everything really kind of came to a head, and
right.
All of a sudden there was a new layer that I don't think we'd ever seen before of just
hate.
Not giving a fuck.
Well, it's about hate. I mean, people would like expose their hatred towards things.
Yeah, and
I mean, you gotta add in the top 8 of what was it? What was before Facebook?
MySpace.
MySpace. That was the downfall of because you would literally say these are my top 8 people that I like in my life.
Oh,
that was the downfall of the internet.
You had 168 friends, but only these 8 appear in that little box.
You would make your song come up, and you had your top 8 friends.
Well, that's not too terribly different than second grade when you're like,
joke
no, I'm best friends with Billy, not
person,
you.
Like X them out on the,
yeah. But I don't know. I mean,
but it gave everyone a platform to be a dick, right?
But we had the platform. We had, I mean, Facebook, and I mean, I've been on Twitter since 2008 at least, or 2009. I mean, I was on MySpace for a long time. I was on Facebook.
But wasn't like MySpace was so like just like innocent, right? I mean, it was like nothing. It was a
kind
stupid
of, yeah.
post, and like you listen to music, and like,
yep, yeah.
Like, you would like change
you could see that
you could write some code, and like it would change the colors, and
people would like write on your wall, right? And it was like did it, and you could see that,
and then a smiley winky face.
Yeah. But you know, so all of a sudden this hatred is now the lid's ripped off, and now it's visible.
Yep.
But it was there for the longest time.
But so is it generated from like, because just recently there was like some shops shut down in China and Russia of like these groups that were building these campaigns to expose like Trump stuff, just hatred groups basically, to put out media of what's wrong with the world.
I'm sorry.
So we've seen it in the past. Like there would be political articles being put up that were false, that were generated from these groups, but they would like have people like write and comment and forward them to other people.
Yeah.
And it wasn't actually people. It was just like these big hate groups that were built in Russia and China, and there was a couple groups that just recently got shut down. Facebook took them down.
Why are those groups? Why are there groups in Russia and China that are like? You would think,
because if there's more distress in U.S., that would make the Russia economy better. Like I don't. That's over my head.
I mean, but do people in Russia really give a shit about having a better economy than a different country has?
I don't know.
I mean, shouldn't you be focused on staying warm and fucking over there?
You'd think.
Like,
what kind of vodka am I gonna have to make?
Yeah. Make sure there's a good variety of options available at the market. And you know, a couple cords of wood, and
right.
I mean, tomorrow's a new day. Like, then go.
But there's weird stuff going on in Russia anyway. Like there's all the leaders in the oil, like the oil industries over there have just been randomly dying.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Why? Why is that happening?
They've been found dead.
Oh! I thought you meant companies.
No. The leaders of these like oil industry people. Just,
I mean,
like come
that's
up. Yeah, just random like
So we talked about sort of the Cy and Leanne outlook. You know, like wake up and live your life the way that you want. It took a long way to get there, but now they're doing it.
Right.
So tomorrow, you wake up and you have more money than you could spend or he could spend or anybody that you care about could spend before you're all dead. So you no longer have to worry about money. You can work if you want to, but you don't need it to do anything in your life. How are you spending your days?
I fly to Tampa to go watch the Chiefs game.
Okay.
No. Like big picture, like I don't know. I've always wanted to be living in Mexico would be incredible.
Okay. Why?
I love being, I like being near a beach. I don't like sitting at the beach, which is weird. I like being at the pool near the beach.
100%. Fucking sand.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Sand and like, it's like the waves and the salt water. And like, I just want to stand and like have a drink and sit at the pool. But like to be able to be in Mexico and have the tacos and the food and just hang out and just the culture there and just the attitude is just
none of the corruption and violence and murder and all that
well,
shit,
I'm talking about the resort towns.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Come on.
All right.
But just to be able to hang out, like I don't know. You obviously want to give good background for him.
Yeah. But I mean, does Mexico have everything you could want and need? Like
there are moments where I'm like, I could just move to Mexico. Because I'm a remote worker. I can work from wherever I want.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
They might have a different thought on it if I was like, oh, I'm in Mexico. Like that might give them a different thought. But I mean, it would be great. I mean, I say that on paper. It's just beautiful though. Like I don't hate the cold, but I would rather be hot than cold.
Okay.
I could take a cold shower and like then I'm over it.
Sure.
Cold, like you were cold for a while.
Yeah. See, I
other people are other way around.
I am 100% other way around.
Yeah.
Like I can always put more clothes on. I can always make a fire. I can always be under a blanket. I can cuddle with somebody, but I can't take off layers of heat. I can't stop
That's what the pool's for.
Well, that's 100%.
That's what I love the pool.
Yeah. I mean, but I would. I'm not a person that can. I can't day drink. I certainly can't day drink in the sun.
Right.
I can't be in the sun for too long.
Yeah.
So I'm sure my pockets at the pool would be a lot smaller than yours, but I would absolutely love them and take advantage of them probably every day.
I mean, I think ideally, so I'm now like I'm thinking about this to own like a small franchise baseball team in Mexico, to be able to hang out and just run a small organization and have like that community that'd be awesome.
You're a big baseball guy?
So small baseball teams in Mexico are like fascinating. It's just because they're not going anywhere, right? They do it purely for the love, and it's just fun. It's just a different culture. They get really into it.
You've experienced this?
I have.
Like just on vacation, or you went specifically to?
No. I went. It was there in the background on a vacation,
and it was intriguing.
Okay. It looked like fun. It was just like, and they were selling like little like ice creams and like, just like to be able to
spicy candy and fucking food on a stick.
Right.
So you're not a person that would like 6 months or 8 months in be like, I want to mix it up a little bit. I want to go stay in Paris for 8 months.
But don't you have that option?
Huh?
I have that option.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. But I mean, do you think?
But I would keep the thing in Mexico. Would be my hub.
That'd be your hub.
Yeah.
And you're going places.
Right.
From time to time.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got your hub. That's your wheelhouse.
Got to go to Greece here and there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What goes on in Greece?
Beaches, white sand.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
boats.
So you got your hub. That's the bee's knees. You got some travel. Being involved in the baseball team is fascinating. Are there other like I always wanted to take up blah 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 hobby or start this project that I could never in a million years with a full-time job and a child envision.
Yeah.
Anything like that.
So you may know I used to be a blacksmith.
I do.
Kinda,
now that you mention it, yeah.
So I've always wanted to have another studio. but it's expensive, and it's a labor of love. That is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. It is like,
When you say I used to be a blacksmith, did you do that for a living?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. How?
So after college, I moved to Grantham, England, like more specifically Long Bennington, and I worked at this blacksmithing shop, the Rogers Forge, in the middle of nowhere.
On purpose, you went there.
I didn't just stumble. No, I went there for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did that tickle your fancy in the first place?
I did metal work in college.
Okay.
And then I was like, I don't want to just work out of college.
Right.
Because I was like, I'm going to go to Europe, but I need to figure out a reason to go over there. And so I did that. I ended up writing like 30 blacksmithing shops over in the UK. I went through the Blacksmithing Association book and wrote some people. I got like 5 people writing back. And then one person in particular was like, oh, I live in Long Bennington, this itty bitty town. And I was like, okay, I'll come. And I went there for like 8 months.
And?
I almost got deported because I didn't get the right paperwork.
Okay.
It's just like
that
you don't
tracks.
think about, you just like yeah, right. I mean, it's like you don't think about it. Like ICE is a real thing, but there's like people trying to keep you out of the UK as well. I got stopped on a underground, and this cop was like, "Let me see your papers." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Wait, what? How long have you been here?" And I showed him like my stamp, and he's like, "I should take you to the airport right now." Fortunately, he didn't, but I left like 3 or 4 weeks later.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, would you have stayed longer, or was it going to be eventually time to go home?
It was time to come home.
Okay.
It was.
Okay.
This girl that I was staying with, not any like romantic situation, but she's like, let's just get married.
We're not going to talk about that today.
Not romantically, but she was like, just stay and we can get married. And then like, I was like, hey buddy, I know we're okay a little bit. But so I did that, but to have a shop, I've always wanted to have a shop. It'd be awesome, but you have to have a lot of equipment. And like a big forge and fire and like 27,000 hammers and like all sorts of tongs, and it's fun, but it takes up a lot of space.
Sure.
Unless you're doing it all the time, it makes sense, but to do as a hobby, it's like impossible.
Yeah. Okay. That would be cool.
But it'd be fun. So I'd have like my baseball team, and then I'd have my blacksmithing shop, and then I'd have my direct flight to Greece and call it a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Is it warm there?
It can be.
Can be.
Yeah.
I always feel like it doesn't matter.
No, I think because there's like Saint-Tropez and all that stuff, right?
I mean, taking us
right back to
Floyd.
Talk to your sister.
No,
I'm not gonna do that. Okay.
Check her out. Check out her Instagram stories. I think that has all the.
Her and JJ.
Right on, man. The last note I had was.
Oh God! Oh, you're shaking your head at the last note. Okay.
No, it's literally it says. Rock chalk to those 4-0 Kansas Jayhawks who are taking on the 3-1 Iowa State Cyclones.
I mean,
today
do
in
we get to look
Lawrence.
at the score right now?
I mean, I kind of think we should.
Live update.
Yeah. Even though this won't come out for a couple weeks.
Oh, you have to edit?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
14-8.
Who's up?
We.
Nice.
AU.
What? How far in?
We are. God, I'm old. I gotta make this bigger. We're 6 minutes left. Or no, it's halftime.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I'm really grateful that you.
It was fun.
Came.
I was inner monologuing for the last couple of weeks of like what I'm going to talk about, and
okay.
like just like because I was like thinking of like what I'm going to talk about with the Flaming Lips, right?
Did it shake out how you envisioned, or was it?
The only thing I didn't bring up was Tame Impala's influence from the Flaming Lips.
Oh, you got to touch on that for a second and clarify what you mean there, please.
Okay, so Tame Impala has this I don't know. There was like some interview that it was the drummer, and he's like he was walking by this bar. And he heard this song. He's like, what is that? This is like the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in my life. And it was Soft Bulletin.
Okay.
And he's like, oh my God. And it's like, what is this song? They asked them to play what it was. And he's like, this is the drums that I want to be. And it was like this super washed out drummy like sound that Tame Impala's influence, which trickles down. Because Tame Impala is a lot like Pink Floyd too, right? I mean, if you think about it, there's a lot of influence there.
I've only got two records in the rotation, and only one of them am I super familiar with. So,
They're good.
Yeah, the one of them not the first one. I haven't gotten super. It just hasn't happened yet. The other one is like got a dark background and kind of a cool image, and like every track on there.
With like the pinball in it.
Maybe,
Yeah.
but there's so much on it that it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
But that's all I got. So
Yep.
it sounds like you know more about them than I do.
Not a ton. I appreciate them. Like they're good, but it was funny to hear like that influence of like that trickle down effect from like Tame Impala bringing up.
So
Flaming
Tame
Lips.
Impala is influenced greatly by Flaming Lips
Yep.
and Floyd.
Yep.
Okay, interesting. So that was the only thing you weren't gonna.
That was the only thing that didn't make it into the cut.
Okay.
But it did. So I thank you for the last question. So we got it in there.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Maybe someday down the road you want to come back and do another one,
For sure.
or do it.
I've got plenty. I've got 10 albums. That
Okay.
we can do. I just didn't.
All right.
I wanted to make sure we just did one.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Thank you for coming. Thanks
Yeah.
for bringing the boy.
Yeah.
I only got to sort of briefly meet him, I think, that one time at the St. Pat's thing. So it was good to see him again, and I'm glad that
Like a foot taller in a year.
Yeah, I'm glad you. What do you hear from people that know you and Mom both? What do you hear as far as who he looks like? Because I don't even know what Mom looks like.
He looks a lot like me.
He does,
But he looks a lot like her.
Okay.
There's a good mix.
Okay.
He's
super handsome.
I'm super biased.
Yeah.
But he is a pretty kid.
He's a very pretty kid.
It's like people are like, "Oh God, your kid is too." I was like, "Yeah, I get stopped and people say how pretty he is."
Right.
Well,
Right.
obviously, he must look like me then.
Okay.
That was a joke.
Right. No, I know. But I'm really glad that if
He's doing awesome.
I'm
Like, I
sure
don't know where the hair came from.
if
though.
you did a lineup of people
Uh-huh.
and applied your situation to all those people, it's not going to turn out this way for all of those.
Yeah.
Some of those people are going to actually turn and go the other direction and never look back.
For sure.
Some of those are going to stick in there and be like perpetually grumpy, and maybe lash out at a server or whatever.
Right.
And some people might have a version that looks similar to yours, but I think you really got the best. I know it's not always easy, but
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys really enjoy each other's company and you can make your life work where he's ever present in it, then hey, fucking men.
That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
So,
appreciate that.
thanks for coming, man.
Thanks
I
for having
appreciate
me.
it.
It was
Yeah.
fun.
All right.
Yeah.
See ya.
Appreciate it. Cool.
You know my life.